Hello to everyone who is watching this live stream. This live stream will be educational, and I think that you know my name. If you do not know, my name is Aleks, and today I will watch with you some videos related to biology, and this live stream will be some kind of reaction, educational, and all of these because I was accepted to the University of Houston and I will have there some courses. It looks like I will have the biology course too, and that means that I will study biology first course will be during January, I believe. But before we will start to do all this magical reaction, of course I will be happy if you will leave your likes. It will support me a lot. You can leave your comments below. It is fantastic idea, and I want to look for our connection first. Yes, I see. One moment. We have good connection. One moment, I look for sound, and we will do. Yes, we have good sound. Maybe I should put camera a little bit lower, like this. Maybe it would be good, better maybe. Yes. What can I say? Biology I was studying, I think, at school, and many of us we know a little bit about biology, but today will be more detailed videos where I will try to find out a little bit more about cells. I was watching already some videos before, and today I'm intended to watch even more. Of course, I know that if we are talking about cells, it is always like they're small. Yeah, cells, they're small, they're important, and they're everywhere. Yeah, and I think that to know about cells, it is just interesting even without anything, like if you are not even studying at university. By itself it is just interesting. Okay, let's go. It will be and yes, I was talking before in live streams that I will do more related to my education live streams on this channel, and that's why if you are surprised, yes, it is kind of surprise. But yes, let's go. Let's look this. Yes, I will be in a small kind of box here, and hope that you will see my amazing face. Yes.
Broad categories
oh my gosh, let's check.
Cells are the smallest living units of an organism. All cells have three things in common, no matter what type of cell they are. All cells have a cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from its environment, cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like fluid, and DNA, which is the cell's genetic material.
Yes, I know that a couple things already, and actually I have already some workbooks with me, and I will continue, of course. I received this workbook today. It is about organic chemistry for dummies like me, And obviously I remember some things from my previous education which I had, but it is not so, I cannot say that I'm extremely expert in organic chemistry or chemistry at all, especially when we are talking about this in English. That's why I need to relearn and just learn again, by all means. But yes, this book I received today by using my Amazon account, and yes, I know that we all know that DNA is in itself, it has chromosomes. If we are talking about male chromosomes, they have two X. I think it is known by everyone. And if we are talking about if female, they have two X. Male they have X and Y chromosome. Yes, and I know that Y chromosome is shorter, smaller than X chromosome, and they kind of half of them we are receiving from mother, and half of them of these DNA like chromosomes we are receiving from father. That's how it works. And there are like 46 of them, I mean 23 main pairs of chromosomes. Okay.
There are two broad categories of cells. The first category is eukaryotic cells. They have organelles, which include the nucleus and other special parts. Eukaryotic cells are more advanced, complex cells, such as those found in plants and animals. The second category is prokaryotic cells. They don't have a nucleus or membrane-enclosed organelles. They do have genetic material, but it's not contained within a nucleus.
It is not contained in nucleus.
Genetic material, but it's not contained within a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are always one-celled or unicellular organisms, such as bacteria. So, what are organelles? Organelle means little organ.
Yes, little organ. I think that I heard this before. I don't remember. Yes, little organ. Organelle. That's how I remember that in Russian it sounds quite similar. Maybe because a lot of words in science they were taken from English into Russian language. And of course it is obvious by all means that because a lot of scientific words they are originally English because they were discovered in UK, in America, a lot of stuff, and as a result these names they were created by using English logic. Yes, I remember some of this information. It is already yeah, I'm not so hopeless. It is already good.
Organelles are the specialized parts of a cell that have unique jobs to perform. Let's start with the nucleus, the control center of the cell. The nucleus contains DNA, or genetic material. DNA dictates what the cell is going to do and how it's going to do it. Chromatin is the tangled, spread-out form of DNA found inside the nuclear membrane. When a cell is ready to divide, DNA condenses into structures known as chromosomes.
Chromosomes. S sounds like Z. Chromosomes. At least that's what I heard. Chromosomes.
The nucleus also contains a nucleolus, which is a structure where ribosomes are made. After
ribosomes, they produce energy. Are they? I think that they're producing energy, yes.
Ribosomes leave the nucleus. They will have the important job of synthesizing or making proteins.
I love this animation. I love this
Outside-
animation. I was reading today a little article about I was not reading an article. I was watching today a video where I saw this professor. He told us, for those who was watching this video, for viewers, that bacteria, cells in microscope, they look not so, I would say, colorful. These videos made just for educational purposes, in order to understand and visualize how cells work, and that's very interesting. And they're like extremely tiny. I think it is no need to tell about this, but they can be as small as, I don't remember number, like 80 billionth in inch, inch. I don't know how to say this. Yeah, so they can be extremely small, and yeah, usually, yeah, this visualization helping to introduce into this field, because I feel that for me, as person who likes to visualize some stuff, especially if we are talking about more complicated topics, I don't know, it is just crazy. It is just crazy, and it is also enjoyable to see, like, on level of cells, they like different life is going on, different life.
Inside the nucleus, the ribosomes and the rest of the organelles float around in cytoplasm, which is the jelly-like substance. Ribosomes may wander freely within the cytoplasm or attach to the endoplasmic reticulum, sometimes abbreviated as ER. There are two types of ER. Rough ER has ribosomes.
They say that all rights reserved. I hope that I will not have any kind of rights, how they call copyrights. I hope that everything will be fine, because I see this picture has this phrase like all rights reserved. Yes, but at the end of the day, it is video reaction, and I heard that when you're doing video reactions on some type of videos, it is like okay, but we will see in reality.
Attached to it. And smooth ER doesn't have ribosomes attached to it. The endoplasmic reticulum is a membrane-enclosed passageway for transporting materials, such as the proteins synthesized by ribosomes. Proteins and other materials emerge from the endoplasmic reticulum in small vesicles, where the Golgi apparatus, sometimes called the Golgi body, receives them. As proteins move through the Golgi body, they're customized into forms that the cell can use.
They go through this Golgi body in order to change their form, if I'm correct. Am I? Yeah, so they go through all these. Oh yes, Golgi body. Let's look.
A membrane-enclosed passageway for transporting materials, such as the proteins synthesized by ribosomes. Proteins and other materials emerge from the endoplasmic reticulum in small vesicles, where the Golgi apparatus, sometimes called the Golgi body, receives them. As proteins move through the Golgi body, they're customized into forms that the cell can use.
Yes. Interesting how it is organized. We are talking about cell, but it is interesting that it is not so simple. When we are talking about cell, we need to understand about complexity, about processes which are going on there, and like many, I would say, our industry basically, which is giving to us everything what we're using every day, is based on these, how to say, chemistry reactions, understanding of organic chemistry, and understanding, of course, cells, because cells, they quite insane, and they're widespread, they're everywhere, and we're using them in, how it's called, in pharmacy, in agriculture, in medicine, obviously. Pharmaceutical companies, they're hiring a lot of people who is understanding this topic well. I think it is cool.
The Golgi body does this by folding the proteins into usable shapes, or adding other materials onto them, such as lipids or carbohydrates. Vacuoles are sac-like structures that store different materials. Here, in this plant cell, the central vacuole stores water. Going back to the animal cell,
this is chloroplast, I believe. Green one. I mean, it is logical, because what is this? Of course, chloroplast. We know that chloroplast exist, and they only in plant cells. You will not find chloroplast in animal cell. I think it is, logical, because they're providing this. They're synthesizing light into energy. Magic.
Going back to the animal cell, you will see an organelle called a lysosome. Lysosomes are the garbage collectors that take in damaged or worn out cell parts. They are filled with enzymes that break down this cellular debris. The mitochondrion is an organelle that is the powerhouse for both animal and plant cells. During a process called cellular respiration, the mitochondria make ATP molecules that provide the energy for all of the cell's activities. Cells that need more energy have more mitochondria.
They're like plural form of this word, quite not obvious. So, like mitochondria, it is plural. Mitochondrion, it is like singular. That's kind of complicated. Like a lot of words in chemistry, they just by itself complicated, and when we are talking about plural forms of this word, so that word is just insane. And yes, mitochondria. Okay. And I think that this information I knew before, but today we'll watch probably another short video about cells itself, and I believe that there I will find much more information which I do not know.
Meanwhile, the cell maintains its shape through a cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton includes the thread-like microfilaments, which are made of protein, and microtubules, which are thin, hollow tubes. Some organisms, such as plants, that are photoautotrophic, meaning they capture sunlight for energy, have cells with an organelle called a chloroplast. The chloroplast is where photosynthesis happens. It's green because it has a green pigment called chlorophyll. Plant cells also have a cell wall outside of their cell membranes that shape, support, and protect the plant cell. Animal cells never have a cell wall. There are many other unique structures that only some cells have. Here are just a few. In humans, for example, the respiratory tract is lined with cells that have cilia. These are microscopic hair-like projections that can move in waves. This feature helps trap inhaled particles in the air and expels them when you cough.
Gosh.
Another unique feature in some cells is flagella. Some bacteria have flagella.
Yeah, some people, of course, will know pretty well what kind of like in our body, not so many cells, or they do not have by itself this flagella, but yes, there are not so many of them.
Flagellum is like a little tail that can help a cell move or propel itself. The only human cell that has a flagellum is a sperm cell.
Yeah. I don't know
In
why.
summary,
I don't know why, but this information I knew quite well. I'm joking. But yes. Oh, hello, Lisa Marshall. Hi, hello. Hi, happy to see you. Yes. Hello to Monica. Hello, Alex. Sorry for joining late. I see this another level of English you have to learn. It is a level of English which I must learn because right now, because I was accepted to the University of Houston, I will have the courses which I need to go through, and I need really to understand them. Okay, I knew that it will happen. Yes, I decided to show my oh gosh, I returned. I'm so sorry. I was thinking that about this, and I sent message in our chat, and it looks like I said to you that flagella was banned, and yes, I feel that I'm not able to watch all this video, but actually we finished basically everything, and it looks like cells are like huge, important parts in our bodies, and I found today quite interesting terminology, and I will not continue to watch exactly this video because it looks like they do not like this word. Maybe they were thinking that it is something bad I'm talking about, but still I found quite good information about cells, and actually I knew some of this information before. I just needed to rewatch to understand a little bit better and to look for this information. But what can I say? These days I will do much more videos, live streams, where I will do reactions on educational videos. I know that it is not kind of popular thing to do, like to do educational or like self-educational live streams, but at the end of the day I need to prioritize my education, like, because University of Houston is not so cheap university, and that's why I need to put this as my priority. And that's as a result I will do on this live stream, as I said before, some videos, live streams related to my courses, which I will go through. And it was some kind of prompt. I know that in future I
So
will
what about the smooth E?
do more videos, live streams like this. And now I have another video. I hope that this video which we will watch now will not have any restrictions. Yes, so that's what I'm hoping for. But yes, let's look. It will be a little bit, for me it will be interesting. Yes, I know this for sure, because first education which I had, it was in nutrition of food, and I loved to watch about these videos before. Let's look again. Let's look another video. Hope it will not be banned.
Okay, so in this video, we're going to go over some of the common organelles of a eukaryotic cell. Now, an organelle is simply a word that means small part. So just like the body has small parts called organs, cells have small parts called organelles. Well, there's a lot of them, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to mention are the three basic sections to the cell, and all cells need to take in food, get rid of waste, and reproduce. Well, cells have three main sections to them, and inside of those three sections are parts that allow them to take in food, get rid of waste, and reproduce. So the first section you can see highlighted by the flashing black line, the plasma membrane. You might also hear the plasma membrane simply called the cell membrane. We'll talk more about this in a little bit. Pulsing in the picture, you can see the second main section, the nucleus. You often hear the nucleus called the control center. We'll explain why in a little bit.
Yeah, we know already that nucleus is producing DNA, and nucleus is important in this part because it is like, yeah, creating, it contains DNA, and inside of nucleus, I believe, where is ribosomes? No, ribosomes, are they not inside of nucleus? I'm not sure.
And lastly, we have the cytoplasm. Now, the arrow in the picture looks like it's kind of just pointing to empty space. Well,
Yes.
cells are not filled with empty space. They're filled with a part called the cytoplasm. We'll go into that in more detail. Let's actually do the cytoplasm first. Here we go.
Jellyfish is permanent lighting so good.
Yes, I will do live stream during when there will be, how it is called, Christmas. On Christmas I will do live stream for sure. Okay, cytoplasm. Every time when I hear these words, it's always a little bit difficult to pronounce this in the right way.
So the cytoplasm, the first thing I want to mention is that it's the jelly-like material on the inside of a cell. You know, when you look at diagrams, sometimes in a diagram a cell might look like it's empty or filled with hollow air space, and that's not true. Cells are filled with a jelly-like liquidy material called the cytoplasm, and in that cytoplasm most organelles float within. You can see here's a list of a few of the organelles that are floating around in the cytoplasm.
Yeah, we have in cytoplasm such organelles like nucleus, ribosomes, vacuoles, mitochondria, chloroplasts if we are talking about plant cell, reticulum, Golgi body, lysosomes. Lysosomes, we already know that they're taking something that is not good inside of, they like cleaning this space, and they're helping for cell to be healthy. For example, I heard that, for example, if a ribosome is not doing all functions well, they just lysosomes taking these ribosome in itself if it's not functioning well, and they're like digesting. Digest? No. Yes. Hello to Sam K. Hello to you, Sam K. Heart to you. Thank you a lot for your message. Nice to see you. Yes, I'm doing here kind of a live stream, trying to understand a little bit about biology on simplest level, because that's what I need to know in order to understand my course. I'm doing some things in the head, because for me, I know I'm studying slowly, not like some people, and plus, yes, I'm slow person, basically. That's why I just decided to do this online with you.
We're going to go and talk about all of these throughout this video. We'll talk about what the mitochondria is, what lysosomes are.
Yeah.
And because the cytoplasm is a jelly-like material and things are floating around inside of it, you often, under a microscope, can actually see parts floating around. In this animation here, you can see what's known as cytoplasmic streaming. The green circles that are drifting around inside of the square cells, the rectangular-shaped cells, those green circles are plant cell chloroplasts. You can see in every rectangular shaped plant cell there's a few dozen chloroplasts in each of these cells here. And this is known as cytoplasmic streaming.
Cytoplasmic streaming.
Okay, well, what about the job? What does the cytoplasm actually do? Well, a lot of chemical reactions take place within the cell, and chemical reactions take place in the cytoplasm. So that's kind of what the job of the cytoplasm is. It helps to facilitate chemical reactions, and it also helps to dissolve solutes, particles that are in the cell, carbohydrates, proteins. These are all dissolved within the actual cytoplasm of the cell.
Yeah.
So that's really what the main function of the cytoplasm is. It also adds support to the cell, a pressure support for the cell.
Yeah, I think like cytoplasm in some way, in my mind, it is like water. Like we can imagine like aquarium, and in this aquarium lives different fish. But when we are talking about cell, we do not have fish. We have the organelles, and these organelles, they kind of moving in this cytoplasm, this liquid thing. Yeah, stuff like this. That's how I imagine it. Of course, I can be wrong with understanding. I mean, like, yeah.
The next part I want to mention is called the plasma membrane, also known as the cell membrane. And first of all, its composition means what is it made from? It's a bilayer of lipids and proteins. Earlier in the school year, we learned about lipids. And this is a drawing of a very simple lipid here. The round part represents the head. The two tails are the fatty acids. And what we mean by a bilayer, it's not just one layer, but two layers on top of one another. This is a bilayer.
Plasma membrane has two lipids. Lipid, a lot of lipids. Bilayer of lipids and proteins. And between these lipids must be, because it is not some things, they can go inside of cell and out. And there must be some kind of tube of which is providing these, I don't know what is doing, like providing in and out transportation, basically. Yeah, there must be some, not protein, but yeah, I hope that
layer of lipids right here. In between the bilayer of lipids are also proteins.
Protein, yes.
I've labeled this protein channel, and you're going to see its importance in a moment. Well, the job of the plasma membrane is to allow materials to pass, to enter and exit. You know, small molecules like water and oxygen,
yeah.
H2O for water, O2 for oxygen. Small molecules like
hydrogen, it is called. By itself, it has like atom thing, like one, H1 like by itself it cannot exist, because it will be not sustainable. That's why they like together, I believe, usually.
This can simply pass through the lipid bilayer. However, larger molecules like glucose, have to pass through these protein channels, and that's what you see happening in the animation. And so that's really the job of the cell membrane. But the cell membrane is what we call semi-permeable or selectively permeable. And that means that it doesn't allow everything in and out. It only allows certain specific molecules and ions and charged particles to enter or exit through the plasma membrane.
But they're extremely small.
So when we come back to this picture we saw earlier, here we have the next part I want to mention. You can see the black square highlighting the nucleus. Let's zoom on in for a closer look. When we zoom on in, here we have the nucleus. And you've heard maybe in middle school that the job of the nucleus is to control the cell's activity. You often hear it given the nickname of the headquarters. Well, what does that mean? Well, the reason we call the nucleus the headquarters is because it contains DNA. And in the picture, we see 5 twisted strands of what is called chromatin. Chromatin are long strands of...
Hello to Lindsay. How are you? Thank you a lot for your message and for your kind message. Hello, Aleks, and all you lovely people. Hello to you, how to you? Thank you a lot. I appreciate this, and it is very nice to see you, Lindsay. Yes, nice to see you, and I'm today so I have so amazing mood because I was chatting with Glenn and I have hope now, and I think that I will tell about everything in separate live stream. If Glenn is watching this live stream right now, heart to you, thank you a lot. And in future on channel my English World, I will do special live stream related to my happiness today because we will see. You will know what I'm talking about. But yes, today I have amazing mood and amazing mood for education, and I decided just to do live stream and to watch a little bit more about organelles of the cell, because I will have biology course. And yes, we can see that in nucleus we have chromatin. Chromatin, it is long strands of DNA. Chromatin, it is kind of like these chromosomes. They're called chromosomes. They have these different types of pairs. They're like 23 of them. And interesting fact about chromosomes: if sometimes you think that we are so different, we are difficult by itself, but we are not so different from genetically from bananas, for example. And this example, so they always shocking me. I heard about these facts before, that 99% of our genes, their structures, they're like close to any other living things, like banana or another human. Only they're like 1% or something like this. It is already different from others. They're like a small amount of percentage given to of genes, giving to us like so huge diversity. Yeah, that's what I heard about this before. And yes, that's why DNA is extremely important, and yeah, it's kind of insane. It's like basically everything.
DNA. And DNA is the instructions, the blueprint,
Yeah,
the
to make
manual
proteins.
on how to make proteins. And this is why we call the nucleus the control center, is because the chromatin will be sending out information to make proteins. And proteins
Yeah.
do a lot of the work. The vast majority of the work inside of our cells, inside of our bodies, are performed by proteins. So this is why the nucleus gets the nickname of the control center.
Yeah.
Also inside the nucleus, there's a round object known as the nucleolus. And the job of the nucleolus is to make another part of a cell, another organelle, called the called the ribosome. So the job of the nucleolus is to make ribosomes, and we're going to see what ribosomes do in just a moment. When we look at this picture right here, we can see a nice electron microscope picture. The overall round object is the nucleus. You can see the dark spot is the nucleolus. A really nice picture here of the nucleus and the nucleolus. So we come back here, we have the box highlighting the rough ER and the smooth ER. Let's zoom on in and take a closer look at the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, first of all, there's two kinds of ER. Let's look at the rough ER first. The ER stands for endoplasmic reticulum. The rough ER, the reason it's called rough...
I need to sometimes to repeat just for myself, because endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. Sounds like how it's called magic spell from Harry Potter. Endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes. We can see it. Ribosomes, they are all over of. No. Yes, rough ER. That's the difference. Yeah. Rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough ER. Okay, I got it. They have ribosomes.
That's covered in ribosomes. So we mentioned a moment ago that the nucleolus makes ribosomes. The ribosomes then exit the nucleus and travel along this tunnel system known as the rough ER. And that's kind of the job of the rough ER, is to receive the ribosomes and transport and carry around the ribosomes from one part of the cell to another.
Tunnel system that transports protein making ribosomes. From nucleus. They're transporting them from where? From nucleus. Through rough ER. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, like that? Okay.
There. As you can see, we finally see what the job of a ribosome is. Protein making ribosomes. So that's the job of a ribosome, is to make a protein. So the rough ER will transport the ribosomes as the ribosomes are making a protein.
Yeah, guys, ribosomes, they create a protein, and rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is kind of tunnel which is providing them. It is like highway for ribosomes. Like they have special transportation system. Yes, and the plasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, helps them to move somehow. Yeah.
Well, if we look at this picture here, we have the purple nucleus. Identify part A in the nucleus. I hope you know that's the nucleolus. The lines, the purple lines identified by letter B, that's the DNA. I hope you remember the name of the DNA. That's called chromatin. And then the outside of the nucleus in picture C, I never mentioned the name earlier, but that's called the nuclear envelope. Notice how the blue is the rough ER, and there's gray dots all over it. Well, look in the animation. You see gray dots exiting the nucleolus in the animation. And those gray dots are traveling through the blue rough ER. That means those gray dots have to be the ribosomes. The job of ribosomes.
And we can see these ribosomes all over. But again, they did this colorful presentation, let's say like this, in order for us to understand a little bit better just picture. In reality, we saw this before that in microscope. When you look at this, it is completely different. Yes, it makes sense, of course.
Ribosomes are to make proteins. We're going to go into more on that in just a few moments. So what about the smooth ER? Well, if the rough ER is covered in ribosomes, then a little common sense, the smooth ER is not covered in ribosomes. And you can see it has a different job. The job of the smooth ER is to help make lipids and fats and to help break down certain toxins. But the reason it gets its name smooth ER is it's not covered in ribosomes.
Sam K. Aleks Potter endoplasmic reticulum is. It makes sense. It makes sense. You're right, Sam K. Endoplasmic reticulums. Reticulum is. Yeah. Smooth ER, it makes fat. It breaks down toxins. Some of them, probably not all of them, but some of them. What they can. They do what they can. And we can see that huge difference, of course, because it doesn't have any ribosomes inside or outside. Looks like this. But yes, different completely goals.
The rough ER is covered in ribosomes, and that's why it kind of has a rough appearance to it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a few extra moments about those things called ribosomes. They're created by the nucleolus. Remember, the nucleolus is inside the nucleus. They're transported. The ribosomes are transported by the rough ER, and as the ribosomes are being transported by the rough ER, we now come to their job.
To make proteins, yes. Ribosomes, they created by nucleolus. Yes, it makes sense. They transported by rough ER through this envelope too, and also that endoplasmic, they transported by rough endoplasmic reticulum. I need to remember, I need to every time to repeat this because it is not so simple word, especially for me. And ribosomes, their job is to make proteins. Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun they have. Interesting life.
Duty, their function is to make proteins. And so if we highlight a few ribosomes with that flashing black box, let's zoom on in to a ribosome that's attached to the rough ER. Well, here we have a ribosome. And the reason, what I mentioned a moment ago, is its job is to make a protein. And what it does is it will gather individual amino acids. And earlier in the school year, I hope you remember that amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. And so here we see a ribosome is gathering and connecting a bunch of amino acids into a long chain. This long chain of amino acids is what we call a protein, and that's the job of a ribosome, is to get.
I remember this in Russian, how it is called. There you can find заменимые аминокислоты и незаменимые аминокислоты. I don't remember how it is named in English. I want to look in translator because because just don't remember. Replaceable amino acids and essential amino acids. Essential? That's how you call them? Interesting. Will he tell about them or not? Yes, you can find basically essential amino acids and replaceable amino acids. Yes. We will say maybe terminology, not maybe, I know for sure that terminology pretty often is called differently, and that's why I need to learn this through again and to relearn this, basically relearn.
Gather and
because in biology we will talk about that.
Build these amino acids into a larger protein. This process, by the way, is known as translation. We're going to learn about it later in the school year, though. So if we come back out here to our diagram, I've highlighted the flashing box of the Golgi body. Let's zoom on in to the Golgi body. You might often hear it called the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi complex. It's always going to be called Golgi because it's named after the scientist with the last name of Golgi who discovered it.
Golgi body. I will try to guess. Just suggestion. I remember. Not I don't remember. Golgi body. They told that in Golgi body, they're like all proteins. They can change form there, and in order to be like they need to be, like something like that.
And so the job of the Golgi body is to receive proteins that ribosomes made, receive proteins that ribosomes made, modify them, sort them, and package them so they can be exported from the cell.
Yeah.
And the Golgi body will put the proteins into a protective little envelope known as a vesicle. And so let's go ahead and review what we've learned.
Proteins released inside the protective vesicles. Yes, we can see all the way of protein. We can see where it is created, like a ribosome, how it is transported from nucleus, go through envelope, goes to rough endoplasmic reticulum. Then these ribosomes, they picking up amino acids, they creating protein, and yes, this step by step we can see then they go successfully to Golgi body, and in Golgi body you can see already that protein can be packaged. It is like, I remembered now, I saw video, they like kind of UPS. Yes, you know, UPS delivering to us something, and they packaging, modifying proteins in different form, which is more convenient for transportation, something like that. Okay, it makes sense. What I watched now, it makes sense.
Really quick. When we look at the process of shipping out of protein, in our animation we can see the nucleolus is releasing a black dot. That black dot represents a ribosome. So the nucleolus makes a ribosome. Notice that ribosome then travels through that rough ER, that system of tubes and tunnels. So the ribosome is traveling through the rough ER making a protein. Well, let's zoom on in for a closer look. So there's the ribosome. Okay, now that we can see the ribosome, remember what the job of a ribosome is. It makes a protein. And so there you see the word protein. Now it's spelled P-R-O-T-E-I-N, but it's not really put together properly. So this protein is not quite finished, even though the ribosome made it. Well, watch what happens next. Remember, this is all happening at the rough ER. The protein is going to be placed inside of a protective vesicle and travel away. Where is it going? I hope you know where it's going.
It is funny. I love this, how protein goes away from us. I think it is funny. I want to rewatch this.
Tubes and tunnels. So the ribosome is traveling through the rough ER making a protein. Well, let's zoom on in for a closer look. So there's the ribosome. Okay, now that we can see the ribosome, remember what the job of a ribosome is. It makes a protein. And so there you see the word protein. Now it's spelled P-R-O-T-E-I-N, but it's not really put together properly. So this protein is not quite finished, even though the ribosome made it. Well, watch what happens next. Remember, this is all happening at the rough ER. The protein is going to be placed inside of a protective vesicle and travel away. Where is it going? I hope you know where it's going.
Let's guess.
It's going to a Golgi body. And so the protein arrives at the Golgi.
Yes, I didn't say this, but I was thinking, because he said this 1 minute ago. And I'm like, of course, it makes sense, because he will be packaged. It will be packaged transformed a little bit, yes.
Golgi body, what happens to the vesicle? The vesicle fuses and becomes a part of the Golgi body.
Oh,
Well, watch what
wow.
happens. The protein moves through the Golgi body and is eventually processed and modified and ultimately is going to be released. So the Golgi body kind of makes the final changes to the protein.
Yeah.
Well, when the Golgi body releases the protein, it also will put it in a protective vesicle.
Yes, cool.
So the vesicle is going to be a protective little envelope. Watch this. The protein is put into a protective vesicle and it's released. The vesicle fuses with the cell membrane and then the protein is simply released from the cell, goes where it's needed.
Yes.
Processed and modified and ultimately is going to be released. So the Golgi body kind of makes the final changes to the protein. Well, when the Golgi body releases the protein, it also will put it in a protective vesicle. So the vesicle is going to be a protective little envelope. Watch this. The protein is put into a protective vesicle and it's released. The vesicle fuses with the cell membrane and then the protein is simply released from the cell, goes where it's needed.
Yeah.
All right, so if we were in class, I would have you turn to your neighbor and try to work on these review questions. So we've kind of covered a lot of information. Let's take a quick moment, pause the video, try to answer these.
Oh gosh, I usually fail in such exam. I mean, like when I have questions, but let's try to discuss with you online because you can see these questions and wow, I didn't expect this. 1 minute discuss with your neighbor. Yes, my neighbor, it is you. Number 1, which organelle builds protein? I think ribosome. Yeah, yeah. Protein is built by ribosome. Stores DNA. Nucleus. Yes, I think it contains DNA. Produces ribosomes. It is nucleus. In nucleus, you can see that ribosomes they go into rough endoplasmic reticulum. Yes, produces ribosomes. Creates fats. Oh my gosh, creates fats and breaks down toxins. It is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum must create fats and breaks down toxins because I remember that there was a reminder that it doesn't contain in itself anything like ribosomes. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Packages and releases proteins from a cell. Golgi body. Packages and releases proteins from a cell. It is Golgi body. Allows material to enter and exit a cell. Cell, I mean brain. Like they have this protein, like the lipids. They have this bilayer, and you can find a protein kind of tunnel, and if it is complex, like thin like glucose, it goes through protein tunnel. If we are talking about what ions, small ones, they can go just by itself without any stopping control. What about packages and releases protein from a cell? Cell membrane. I like membrane. This, allows material to enter and exit. Allows material to enter its cell membrane. Packages and releases protein. It is from a cell. Golgi body. Links chains of amino acids together. Amino acids together, we are talking about ribosomes, because amino acids, it's basically protein. Yes, just little block of protein. Yeah, I think that I got this, just difficult for me to keep with pronunciation. That is for sure. Yes.
these 7 questions. I'm going to go over the answers in 3, 2, 1. So which organelle builds proteins? I hope you know that's a ribosome. Which organelle stores DNA? Well, that's the control center called the nucleus. Which organelle produces ribosomes? Well, that's the nucleolus. It's found inside the nucleus.
Oh gosh, nucleus and nucleolus produces a ribosome. I said little bit same. Store, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Pronunciation, nucleus and nucleolus. Yes, nucleus stores DNA and produces ribosome, nucleolus. Yes, that is difference because come on, it is space has nucleus, yeah, and it is like altogether controlling center. Okay.
Which organelle creates fats and breaks down toxins? Well, that's the smooth ER. Which organelle, number 5, packages and releases proteins from a cell? Well, that's the Golgi body. Remember,
Yes.
they're put inside of a protective vesicle. Number 6, which organelle allows materials to enter and exit a cell? Well, that's the cell membrane, also called the plasma membrane. Number 7, which organelle links chains of amino acids together? Well, that's the same thing as question number 1. Question number 1 and question number 7. It's the same.
Yes, ribosome and cell membrane. I was not sure about how to pronounce this cell membrane or yeah, I was not sure, but yes, I answered basically everything correctly. It is promising. Thanks, of course, that he explained this well, and plus some things I knew already before. It is for sure, but where I was mistaken, not mistaken, I cannot say that it is like, but it is also big deal. Nucleus and nucleolus. It is 2 different things. Nucleolus, I need to say this more clearly. Nucleolus produces ribosomes, and nucleus, it is stores DNA. Yes, I need to tell this clear.
Same question, just worded a little differently because amino acids make proteins. Let's try this one.
Another?
Same thing in class. I would have you work on this with a neighbor for a minute, but pause the video. Try to put these 4 steps in order. What comes first, second, third, fourth? I'm going to show.
I like that he has this, yeah. Place the following steps of protein creation in order from start to finish. Let's read culture body, packages, and no, it is not first. Nucleus makes ribosomes. C, first. Nucleus makes ribosomes. It is logical. We need to create them at first. Ribosomes exit the nucleus. Sorry, again I did this mistake. Nucleolus makes ribosomes. Nucleolus makes ribosomes. Same mistake, yes, in pronunciation. Nucleolus makes ribosomes. Ribosomes exit the nucleus. It is 2. Ribosomes travel along the rough endoplasmic reticulum and create proteins. Yes. C, D, B, and last, of course, step, Golgi body packages and exports the finished proteins in a vesicle. Yes, it all makes sense now. Nucleus makes, again, nucleolus makes ribosomes. Ribosomes exit the nucleus. Ribosomes travel along the rough endoplasmic reticulum and creates proteins. Golgi body packages and exports the finished proteins in a vesicle.
Show the answer in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
CD.
So the answer is, I hope you chose step C first.
C.
The nucleolus makes ribosomes. And then I hope you chose D. Ribosomes will exit the nucleus. And then I hope you chose B. The ribosomes are going to travel along the rough ER and create proteins. And then finally I hope you chose A, the Golgi body will
I'm
package in...
pretending that I'm so smart. We're talking about the school program, and I'm like, oh, I know this. But it is important step to know anyway, because it is kind of basic of biology, and there will be much more complicated live streams about biology, I'm sure. Yes.
and export the finished protein inside of a protective vesicle. Well, let's move on. So now we're back to our diagram, and I've highlighted the flashing box, the mitochondria. Let's zoom on in for a closer look. Here we have the mitochondria. Artist drawing on top, actual picture on the bottom. And so the job of the mitochondria, you know, in middle school they give cute little nicknames to cell parts. In middle school you may have been told this is the powerhouse, but you may never have been told why. Well, it's the powerhouse because its job is to make an energy molecule by the name of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. So the mitochondria does a very important process known as cellular respiration. And during the process of cellular respiration, it will create an energy molecule by the name of ATP.
Create ATP. I need to look ATP, how it is pronounced. Energy creates ATP energy molecule in a process called cellular respiration. Yes, this I do not know. ATP meaning in biology. Adenosine triphosphate. He said adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. Definition. Adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP, is a molecule that carries energy within cells. I remember it's in Russian it sounds actually the same. Now I remember. Adenosine triphosphate. Yes, that's how it's called in Russian, because again, adenosine triphosphate. Yes, I remember. It is the main energy currency of the cell, and it is an end product of the processes of photophosphorylation, adding a phosphate group to a molecule using energy from light. How it is called in Russian? Photophosphorylation. Yes, I want to translate it in other English. Why I always have here like фотофосфорилирование. Okay.
Photophosphorylation.
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 Photophosphorylation. Okay.
ATP is a molecule used by your cells for energy. So the analogy is the mitochondria is kind of like the battery of your cells. What's interesting about the mitochondria is we're pretty certain the mitochondria used to be a living organism. It used to be basically a bacteria cell. But it has become part of today's modern cell.
And before they were kind of mitochondria were, it was independent. They were independent because there in the cell not only one mitochondria but many of them. And through the time they were, it was like they were benefiting from living inside of the cell because they, as a result, they're producing own DNA, but not so much as maybe they had before. And as a result, now all DNA what they're doing, they're like actually not so much of DNA. It is just to be a little bit independent. That's what. Or maybe it's how they call this. I don't remember terminology. They call this. They have this terminology for this. Anyway, yes. Getting late in the UK. Good night, everyone, and please take care. Thank you, Sam K. Thank you, Sam K. hard, so you thank you a lot for your support and kind words. Thank you a lot.
And this theory of
Have a good night.
how we think this happened is called an endosymbiosis. I'll go over in more detail in just a moment. Well, when we look at some of the evidence for why we think the mitochondria used to be its own living organism is because it has its own DNA. It has its own ribosomes. Because it has its own ribosomes, it can manufacture its own proteins.
Yeah.
And the mitochondria does something very important to life. The mitochondria can reproduce and replicate. So when you look at this evidence, it's we're pretty certain the mitochondria used to be a free living organism,
They have granules, ribosome, crista, intermembrane space, matrix, ATP synthase particles. ATP, it is molecules, energy molecules. Inner membrane, outer membrane, deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. Deoxyribonucleic, probably. Deoxyribonucleic acid, yes, DNA.
Bacteria species, but it's become part of cells. Well, how did that happen? That's what endosymbiosis tries to explain. I hope I can visualize that on the next slide.
Endosymbiosis theory.
Okay, so I really want to try to visualize the endosymbiosis theory. Here we have a large predator cell in orange that's going to devour that red mitochondria ancestor. Watch this. So there it goes. It just devoured the mitochondria ancestor.
It is fun actually to think that, yeah, mitochondria has also ancestors. Like, it is really fun.
But the way we think it happened is that red mitochondria survived and divided and multiplied. It's just trapped inside of the large predator cell. Well, as the two go about their lives, the large predator cell eventually is going to multiply and divide as well. And watch this. When cells divide, they often grow, and then they split right down the middle, and now you have two cells. Two cells with the mitochondria ancestors trapped. As the two go about their ancestor. But the way we think it happened is that red mitochondria survived and divided and multiplied. It's just trapped inside of the large predator cell. Well, as the two go about their lives, the large predator cell eventually is going to multiply and divide as well. And watch this. When cells divide, they often grow, and then they split right down the middle, and now you have two cells. Two cells with the mitochondria ancestors trapped inside of them. And then the process simply continues. So the mitochondria ancestors keep multiplying, and then the orange predator cell divides in half. And over time, over millions and millions of years, the two have become so dependent on one another that they can't survive without them. So this is kind of what the endosymbiosis theory it tries to explain, is how cells became more complex. How did we obtain certain cell parts? And this is the explanation for how we think the mitochondria was obtained.
It makes sense. Actually, it is very logical. Because, yeah, it makes sense completely. Yes.
Braden has amazed me. He's so strong.
Okay,
Lysosomes. Let's talk about lysosomes and listen about them.
let's zoom on in. Let's focus on the lysosomes back in our diagram here. And let's zoom on in for a closer look at the lysosomes. And so the lysosomes contain inside of them very powerful digestive enzymes. And that's what my little animated scissors here are showing. So the blue circle is the lysosome, with the animated scissors representing the enzymes inside. And so lysosomes have various jobs. Number one is to break down food.
Yeah.
So here we have a protein molecule that's being taken into the cell, and the protein is being broken down into smaller parts. I hope you know those smaller parts are called amino acids.
Yeah. Yes.
Here,
of course, lysosomes, they're breaking down like food, kill pathogens, pathogens. Yes, we heard about this too. And lysosomes with enzymes. Yes, actually, these enzymes doing all this useful job for us.
Here we have an example of a white blood cell. You probably know white blood cells' job is to fight off infections like bacteria and viruses. Well, that's what we call pathogens. Things that cause disease are called pathogens. And so here's a virus or a bacteria, and notice how it just landed on a white blood cell. Well, what happens is the white blood cell will swallow up that pathogen, put it inside of a lysosome, and those powerful digestive enzymes will destroy it. So that's one way that...
And like there was advertisement about cancer. I think that problem with cancer, one of the things that they do not, and not I think, I was reading an article. It does look like they do not have enough enzymes in these cells because they cannot fight these pathogens. They cannot fight not only pathogens. How they called? Another word for this too. Anyway, yes, that's one of the problem with cancer. Yeah.
That our immune system keeps us healthy.
That's why people need, yeah.
And then there's the process called autolysis, where it's basically an aging cell will destroy itself.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of our picture here, we have a group of cells, and I have the animated scissors, because what happens is when cells are dying and aging, they will kind of self-destruct in a process called autolysis, where the lysosomes will release all the digestive enzymes and kill that cell.
It is another reason, like if you want to be, how to make yourself always young, and yes, it is secret for a couple millions of dollars, because everyone wants to be young, and do not, like, to prevent of dying of your cells, like, yeah, it is probably maybe one of the reasons of many reasons why, but like it is a very important topic in like biology, because chemistry, biology, they all together combinate, and you can produce, like, find maybe elixir of life and to be forever young. I don't know. It sounds like amazing thing.
It leaves behind a gap, but don't worry, that gap will simply be filled in as cells multiply. So you've heard the expression, out with the old, in with the new.
Out of the old, in.
A couple other cell parts I want to mention
Flagella.
are used in movement, and that's the job of cilia and flagella. Now, not all cells move, so not all cells have cilia and flagella. But if cells move, they probably have either cilia or flagella.
Yeah.
So the picture on the left shows the cilia, short hair-like extensions. There's numerous, hundreds and thousands of them per cell. Way too many to count. Very short, stubby, almost look like eyelashes. They're so short and stubby. The picture on the right shows a sperm cell with a real long flagella. Flagella is actually the plural version. Flagellum is singular. And so the difference is really their length. The cilia, short, stubby. Flagella are long and whip-like, and usually there's only a few of them. Maybe only one flagellum, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four, but not nearly as many as the cilia. Well, in that picture on the right, we have a sperm cell about to penetrate a female egg cell to create a fertilized egg, also known as a zygote. Let's have a little fun with this. So, after the sperm fertilizes the egg, that fertilized egg is going to grow into a fetus. Here we have a nice little ultrasound showing a child growing inside of a pregnant woman. Well, eventually, 9 months later, that child's going to be born. Well, let's follow the life of this child.
Long whip-like extension.
17 years go by. 17 years later, hey, it's your first day at high school. And so here you go. Welcome to high school. And hopefully 4 years after that, you'll be celebrating your graduation from high school. So this all started because of that flagella that provided the swimming movement to fertilize an egg. So we look at the next part I want to mention is the cell wall. And so this is the outermost layer of plants, fungus, and bacteria cells. So from left to right, we have plants, fungi, and bacteria. Notice animals.
Plant cell wall, outermost layer of plant, fungi, and bacteria cells. Cell wall. Plants, they have cell wall, fungi, and bacteria.
Like humans, do not have a cell wall. Well, we also mentioned that the cell wall is the outermost layer. So when we look at this picture, we have a yellow layer and a green layer. So I hope you know that yellow layer represents the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. And in the definition, we see that the outermost layer is the cell wall. So that's represented by the green layer. Well, what about its job? One of the jobs of the cell wall is to add support. It's made from a real tough, sturdy material known as cellulose. And so this adds some of the support to plants and fungus and bacteria cells that have. And so, as I just mentioned, the cell wall is made from a real tough material by the name of cellulose. It's very hard to digest.
Yeah, very hard to digest this thing. And it makes sense. Okay.
The reason for the picture is celery has a lot of cellulose in it. And I'm sure you've had bites of celery. It's a very tough, very fibrous plant, very hard to digest. Well, that's because you're having to chew through a lot of cellulose, which is a main ingredient of the cell wall. And the cell wall really started our understanding of cells. Earlier in another video, we learned that Robert Hooke in 1665, again, there's no real good pictures of Robert Hooke, so here we just have a stained glass picture in a cathedral. Robert Hooke in 1665 examined cork. And so he used a very primitive microscope, like this one in this picture here, and as I mentioned a moment ago, he examined cork. Now cork, we might be familiar with cork from, wine bottles, but cork is actually tree bark. And he examined a real thin slice of tree bark called cork, and this is what he saw. In this picture here is a drawing that he made. It's kind of shocking to believe that this picture right here is a drawing made by hand, but that's how good of an artist he was. And what you see are hundreds of little tiny cells, but the outline of the cell is all that's left. He did a drawing of the cell wall. There was no nucleus. Cork and tree bark is dead. There was no nucleus when he made the drawing. There were no mitochondria, no vacuoles. All that's left and all you can see in the picture is the drawing of the cell wall. The cell wall is very tough, very strong, and can last for years and years after the cells have died.
Yeah, I know that a lot of scientists of centuries ago, they were creative by all means because they had different skills, including they was, and many of them, able to draw pretty well, and I think it is cool skill to have. And yeah, in science now people usually like to monetize this by studying in different, majors like design, because as a result you can have a lot of good salary after.
The next part I want to mention is called the chloroplasts. And so you might know the job of the chloroplast is to perform photosynthesis. Well, here are several dozen plant cells taken with a microscope. Let's zoom on in for a closer look. When we zoom on in, we can see that inside of every cell are dozens of those green round-shaped objects called chloroplasts. They're inside every single cell, and there's dozens of them per cell.
I like this clear picture.
So you know that the job of the chloroplast is to perform photosynthesis. Well, inside of the chloroplast is a chemical, a green chemical by the name of chlorophyll. The job of chlorophyll is to actually perform photosynthesis. It will absorb sunlight, absorb carbon dioxide, absorb water, and turn those into oxygen and sugar, particularly in the form of glucose. So what photosynthesis does is it uses three ingredients: water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, and will release two products: oxygen and sugar called glucose. Just like the mitochondria, the chloroplast is thought to have evolved and become a cell part according to the endosymbiosis theory. We think the chloroplast was also a free-living organism, a bacteria. In our animation, here we have a predator cell devouring the chloroplast.
This I didn't know for sure, that endosymbiosis theory were once free-living organisms that became parts of modern cells. I didn't know this. Chloroplasts, yes, they have chlorophyll. I think it is something that maybe if you do not remember every day, but you easily will remember after watching this video, because we all were studying this information in our schools, or maybe at the university. But about that, it has not just, it has history behind, ancestors. That is kind of cool. Yes.
Chloroplast, but not really being digested. That chloroplast ancestor in green multiplies, just like we saw a moment ago with the mitochondria ancestors. And notice how the two are just living together. The green chloroplast ancestors are just trapped inside of the larger one. Well, as time goes by, the larger cell divides and splits into two, and as years go by, these two have become so dependent on one another that they are now a part of each other.
And yes, it's pretty often like chloroplast, big by sizes organelles, and they're really huge compared to some others. I feel that ribosomes, they not so big like chloroplast, if we are talking about size. And that's one of the things that they're like in one cell can be hundreds of, or maybe even thousands of ribosomes, not one, two, but a lot of them. And it is kind of interesting thing.
The evidence to support this is, again, the chloroplasts, just like the mitochondria, have their own DNA and ribosomes. They make their own proteins. They can replicate and multiply and divide.
I didn't know this. Chloroplast has own DNA and ribosomes? Same like with mitochondria. This I didn't know. Mitochondria, they do the same thing, basically. They have own DNA a little bit, not so like, but still. They make proteins and they can replicate themselves. Yeah.
These are all real strong indicators that the chloroplasts were probably once a free living organism all by itself, but has become taken into the cell and become part of modern cells. So the final one, the last part I want to mention, is called the vacuole. The job of the vacuole is to store food, store water, waste, color pigments. And in the picture here, you can see it's the big blue round object in the middle of the cell. Often, in plants that is, it's often the largest part of a plant cell. So in plants, it's often the largest central, meaning in the middle. So we often think of the nucleus being in the middle of a cell. Well, often the vacuole is, because it's so big, it pushes all the other parts to the edges. When we look at this little animation right here, again, I mentioned cytoplasmic streaming earlier here. The green circles represent chloroplasts, but they're all kind of revolving around the central vacuole. And so the central vacuole is often so big it will push the other organelles to the edge of the cell. So in plants, there tends to be a large central vacuole, but it's not like that with animal cells. Here's a diagram, a drawing of an animal cell, and the vacuoles are much smaller, and they're usually randomly scattered throughout the cytoplasm, but they still serve the same purpose. They still store food, store water, store waste, and so that's really the job of the vacuole right there.
Storage of food.
Well, so there you have it. I mean, there's a lot of cell parts that we covered in this video here, so try and pause the video and work through these questions. If you're in my biology class, bring your...
An organelle, any organelle, describe its function. Okay, I will talk about rough reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum has ribosome and transporting them in this. It is like tunnel for ribosomes, transportation system or highway, kind of. And inside there goes ribosomes, and they're creating proteins. Yes, by using amino acids. Yeah. Name 7 organelles that can be found within the cytoplasm: nucleus, ribosome, Golgi body, chloroplast. Gosh, it will be much more difficult. Endoplasmic rough ER, smooth ER. It is already 6. And number 7 will be mitochondria. Yes, I hope that I didn't repeat myself. Describe the pathway that proteins travel from creation to exportation. Ribosomes, they are created in nucleolus. They go from envelope, from nucleus to rough ER. Ribosomes, I'm talking about them, they create a protein by using amino acids. Then they go from rough ER to how it's called, they go in this like protected to Golgi body. Then they will be packaged, will be transformed, and then they go through cell membrane. Yes, somewhere there. I don't remember these things in which they are transported. Yes. List various reasons to help support the theory of endosymbiosis. Because mitochondria has it has DNA, can produce own DNA, and yes, it has own ribosomes, and also it can replicate itself. Okay. Name 2 organelles that plant cells have and animal cells do not. I know chloroplast. That's what I remember. And the cell wall? Cell wall, maybe? It is not organelle. I mean, like chloroplast for sure. Which organelle creates ATP energy for cells? Mitochondria. Which organelle converts sunlight into sugar? Chloroplast. Yes. Which organelle creates ribosome? Nucleus. Which which organelle fuses with the cell membrane to release proteins? This I don't remember. And which molecule holds the information to make a protein? Ribosome. Yes, some of the things I just do not remember how to pronounce these. I remember them. Yes, just I don't remember. But some how to pronounce them. Yeah, anyway, because it is huge vocabulary. At the end of the day, let's be honest. It was an amazing live stream where I found a lot of new words, and they are in English, completely different pronunciation, everything is different. But I need to be honest with myself that before I was reading some kind of books about organic chemistry, and I already knew some of these words before this live stream. But still.
Your answers on a separate sheet of paper. I'd be happy to check your accuracy either before school or after school. Good luck.
Good luck. Yes, I think that this live stream was very productive for me. I know that in my biology course I will study this. I will again go through all this process, and I will try to understand everything already in class with my professors, teachers, and it will be really fun. I think that it is good time to say thank you to everyone who was watching, who said hello during this live stream. I am glad to see all your messages, all your likes. And as for now, thank you for all of your support. I am hugging you, yes, wishing you to be the best. And as always, of course, see you next time.